MMA boxing talk here. I just wanted to talk about UFC 216. It's right around the corner. I'm really looking forward to this card. Um, it's gonna be in Vegas. We're 16 days away, so just a little over 2 weeks away. It's a solid card. I mean, a lot of big names, a lot of interesting fights. Of course, Mighty Mouse versus Ray Borg recently got added to this card. I'm happy that Tony Ferguson and Kevin Lee are still the main event. I'm happy that Mighty Mouse didn't ruin the poster. I think the poster for UFC 216 is awesome. It's something a little new, something not generic that we see over and over again. Um, and I like the red. It looks good. But Tony Ferguson versus Kevin Lee is a great, great fight. I think it's a tough fight for both guys, especially Kevin Lee. It's going to be a difficult fight for him to pull out the victory here. But I will say that it's going to be exciting until the finish comes, because I do think this fight's not going to go all 5 rounds. I'd be very surprised if the fight goes all 5 rounds. But really excited for that. Of course, Mighty Mouse Johnson versus Ray Borg. Mighty Mouse is going for history. That's always nice. And it's just a treat to get to witness a fighter like Mighty Mouse, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Arguably the best pound for pound fighter that's ever stepped foot inside an octagon or in an MMA, in an MMA fight. So that's great. We have a solid heavyweight matchup: Fabricio Werdum versus Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is always exciting. He'll be exciting the week of the fight with his interviews. And Werdum's a solid stand-up kickboxer with tremendous jiu-jitsu. Lewis does not want to go to the ground with Werdum. And Werdum's stand-up is definitely more technical. It's a little more crisp, but Lewis has the power in his hands. So that'll be an interesting fight. Heavyweights are always nice to watch. And then another interesting fight. I'm looking forward to this one. The return of Paige Van Zant. She's making her 125-pound debut against Jessica Eye. Jessica Eye's, she's a solid enough fighter. She's has enough experience in the UFC. She's fought Misha Tate. That didn't go her way. But here she is coming down a division. Paige Van Zant's moving up a division. This is perfect, This 125-pound division should have been implemented a long time ago. It's great that fighters like Paige Van Zant, who it's a tough weight cut to 115, she can move up to 125 now. And for someone like Jessica Eye, who might have been a little too small, and she's capable of making the 125, it's good for her to be. It's good for her career. It's good for Paige Van Zant's career. So that's really interesting. And another thing, Ioana and Jacek mentioned today that after she beats Rose, if she beats Rose, she'll tie Ronda Rousey. In 2018, her plan is to break Rousey's record and then move to 125. So this division is going to be interesting, especially if you have Ioana coming to the division in, we'll say, a year from now. And then you got the TV show Ultimate Fighter. They're going to crown a champion. So it'll be interesting. So I'm looking forward to Paige Van Zant versus Jessica Eye. The first fight on the main card is Beneil Dariush versus Evan Dunham. That's an interesting fight. Dariush is always a solid fighter. I know he lost viciously to Edson Barbosa, but shit happens. Also a flyweight who's been on my radar. Don't know how to pronounce his last name correctly, but Tom DeKesnoy. Solid fighter. He looked great in his last fight. Will Brooks versus Nick Lenz. That should be interesting. Bobby Green versus Lando Venata. I'm looking forward to that fight. So, there's a lot of good fights on this card. But definitely Tony versus Kevin Lee is the fight that makes this card, in my opinion. Tony Ferguson is such a savage. He's got so many tools. I could go on about that guy forever. One of the best fighters in MMA. The fact that he's not on the pound for pound list is mind boggling. It really is. So it is what it is. But That's going to be a great fight. Tune in. Tony Ferguson never has a boring fight. And that's it for this one. If you like the video, subscribe. Peace.